Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. Of course, we're going on, coinciding with the TNA pay-per-view. We'll be talking about that right now. In fact, on the TNA pay-per-view is the return of Larry Zbyszko, who will probably be hearing its voice in a radio commercial maybe in the next couple seconds as well. But we've had an interesting week here in wrestling. Of course, the first match has not gotten into the ring yet. I'm not even sure what they're opening with. They're doing a long intro. And we'll be taking your phone calls as well. You can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY. And plenty to talk about this week. We can talk about probably the biggest news story of the week is the lawsuit that Brock Lesnar filed against World Wrestling Entertainment to basically renege on his non-compete clause that he signed when he got out of his contract and he made his failed attempt to become an NFL football player. And now that his football dream is over and he wants to return to pro wrestling, he's in a really interesting situation because he signed a non-compete with WWE, and WWE is not bringing him back, at least as of right now. I think everyone kind of figures that the WWE is going to bring him back at some point. They're just trying to make him sweat and trying to punish him for some of the remarks that they think he may have made, or some of the guys in the locker room who kind of were taking, umbrage with a lot of what Lesnar did. I think a lot of people thought he should have given longer notice. Others thought he shouldn't have buried wrestling on the way out, and obviously when he was doing it, we said it, he's going to come back to wrestling because everybody does, and he's good at it, and why, a lot of people don't have foresight, and I think we've seen a lot of examples of that in wrestling. Also, of course, this coming Sunday is the No Way Out pay-per-view, and this is a unique one because here we are, 7 days away from No Way Out, and we know 2 matches on the show that have been officially announced, and obviously we really know a third match with Kurt Angle and John Cena would be the third match, which will be to determine who faces JBL for the championship at WrestleMania. Of course, we know that JBL and Big Show have the barbed wire match, and we also know about Undertaker and Luther Reigns, although I don't know that I really want to know about that one, even though Luther Reigns did kind of a good interview on SmackDown from Japan. Of course, we're on SmackDown. We're from Japan this past week. Big crowds, and we got a couple of good matches, in particular, Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho in a submission match, and even better in my book was the Rey Mysterio-Kurt Angle match on SmackDown on Thursday. Of course, the opening match in TNA is just getting into the ring. It's Primetime Elix Skipper against Petey Williams. So anyway, that's the first match getting in there, and that is pretty much it. We're going to go hit a break right now. We'll come back with more right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez back here, and we just heard wedding bells, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yes. Charles Layfield and Meredith Whitney of Fox News Network, financial analyst, got married yesterday. They were even in the New York Times.
That was a very entertaining article for a number of reasons.
Yeah, because she sat there one day and said she was talking to a taxi cab driver, and she went to the driver and said they were talking about the futility of finding a good relationship. Of course, she travels all the time, very successful investment. I think she's really successful in the investment world, but couldn't find a guy, even though she's quite good looking as well. And so the cab driver told her, write down on a piece of paper all the qualities you want in a guy, and that's what you should get. And so she wrote down all these qualities, and lo and behold, who walked into her life that has every one of those qualities but JBL.
John Charles Layfield.
And none of them were like, I want, a bully. I don't know.
A great worker?
She didn't say she wanted a great worker either, no. She didn't even say she wanted somebody funny, which, got to give him that.
Yeah.
I just saw the weirdest thing in this Petey Williams match. He I don't know about this right now. But anyway, P.D. Williams and the skipper in the ring. There was like this, P. Williams did a missed crossbody, and Elix did a, that Matrix thing where you bend over deal. But P.D. like landed on his crossbody so far out to the side that it was weird. He just it was a very weird looking thing. Maybe I'll have to watch it later, and it won't be as weird. Elix just did a double arm superplex off the top rope, though. The crowd is so freaking wild here. And then they've been through the last several pay-per-views, and I'm so looking forward to the AJ Styles Christopher Daniels Iron Man match. I do have to say that. So anyway, I'm probably looking forward to that more than like any pay-per-view match. Well, any pro wrestling pay-per-view match in a while. I don't know. More than Sunday, that's for sure. Now, you notice we just had the commercial for No Way Out this coming Sunday, and so this commercial, of course, starts running today, and to show how what's the word I'm looking for? How prepared they are. I mean, I know that because it's a commercial for a week ahead, they can't announce the Cena Angle match. So that's good that they didn't jump their own thing. But they only had one match.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the Undertaker match. This clearly is one of these shows where they're so busy worrying about WrestleMania, I guess, or maybe just because Vince is, but Vince is in the office. So I don't know I can't tell you why. And it's happened. There have been shows where we say, God, a week before there's only a couple matches announced. But I mean, this one, not only are there only a couple of matches, but they don't even have angles for anything. I mean, there's nothing else set up whatsoever. I mean, they're just going to throw a bunch of stuff. They're going to shoot a bunch of angles and throw a bunch of stuff together on Tuesday night, and that's the card.
Well, I think this is one of those shows where they think it's a one-match show, and people are going to buy it just because of that one match for the rest.
I don't even think it's a match, but I think that they do think that they're going to buy it because of the barbed wire.
Yeah, and when they first said barbed wire cage match, however many months ago it was, I think everyone thought that it was kind of a really big deal. But the more I think about it, it's like, are they going to have a normal cage and some barbed wire on the top? They're not going to have a cage just with barbed wire ropes or something like that.
They might. I don't think they will, but they might.
I think they would have made a bigger deal out of it. I think it's going to be normal cage with barbed wire on top, and once people figure that out, that's going to be the end.
I don't know. But all I know is that I have seen JBL and Big Show, and barbed wire matches, in the old days, in the 80s, were always huge disappointments. Because what you had was, guys really don't want to get ripped with their barbed wire. And they did real barbed wire in those days, and I don't know for a fact that WWE will, because WCW never did, but they might. But nobody wants to get their back all ripped up and things like that. So they would wear shirts, and they would just kind of stay in the center of the ring, and they would take, there were a couple of bumps that you had to take to get the match over, so that people don't feel ripped off. And they were usually 7-minute matches, and I'm not saying this one will be because WWE. It's going to do a 15-minute to 20-minute main event, but for these two guys, 7 minutes is better anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, Elix skipper just missed a drop kick like nobody's business, but P. Williams didn't sell it, so I'll give him. I hope they don't go back to it. Oh no, I don't know what's going on here, but looks like we've got ourselves a what's that word? What's that one called? The reality check that and Elix skipper just won the match. It looks like. Did he win it? DM Moore's running in. Yeah, everyone's clapping. Elix beat him. What do you know? So anyway, that's what's happening there. We got a couple of lines available at 1-800-878-PLAY. We'll start taking phone calls right after this. Bryan, what were your thoughts as far as the Ultimate Fighter show on Monday night?
I enjoyed it. I'm starting to enjoy it more because I'm starting to figure out who everybody is. And you're kind of getting a feel for all the personalities and everything like that. The first week was good because it was something new, and the second week you started figuring out who guys were. My only complaint is, having to eliminate guys with physical challenges, but that's kind of,
But they're not eliminating them, they're just setting up...
Well, that was the first week thing where...
Oh, yeah, where they eliminated a couple of guys.
Yeah, and then it was stupid because then you ended up with 2 guys from Coach Cheer's team or whatever eliminated, and then the sides got all uneven, and Liddell had to trade a guy or whatever. But at least it's something where... something's happening where you're getting a little bit of personality from everybody involved, including Chuck Liddell, who had none until this week. So, things are looking good.
I was at a party last night, and I saw Mike Swick, who's on the show, and I saw a tape of one of his fights, and that man has a punch. It's like, he's this guy, he looks in the back, he's really shy, and he's not at all physically imposing in the sense of. Then again, I saw Paul Buntello too, and imagine that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's some guy that you would think that some big guy you would think you would see at a Mexican bar, just sitting there, and you would have no idea in the world that this guy is what he is, and he's a bad dude. And then Mike Kyle, who looks like a fighter, and Paul Buntello would kill him in no time flat, and has. But by the way, the Jeff Hammond match is going to be up next. It's Jeff Hammond and Road Dogg against Michael Shane and Frankie Kazarian. But,
what else was interesting about that show Monday was it's starting to get obvious how they're designing shows to tell some sort of story.
Mm-hmm.
In that, the whole show is built around how Diego's a total geek and he's going to get plastered by this guy.
And I know Diego's a real fighter.
Huh?
I know Diego Sanchez is a real fighter. Diego Sanchez is one of the best guys. Is one of the best fighters there.
But the idea was they portrayed him on TV like,
because he was hurt. He was hurt.
He was hurt. In the promos he cut, they focused on his goofy promos where he came off looking like a geek. And it was a very interesting editing job, leading to completely unexpected. I guess it shouldn't have been unexpected, but the way they designed
it. That match went exactly like I figured. He was going to take him down and submit him. Alex, didn't have enough ground skills. I mean, and they made that kind of clear. When they go in there and they just go, this is the classic, grappler versus striker match. Generally speaking, when they say that, it's not good for the striker because they usually get taken down. There's obviously exceptions when you got like Mirko Krokop, but Speaking of which, you're the one who sent them to me.
Yes,
the odds. Do you got them in front of you?
I will pull them up. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
Yeah, these were the odds for the Pride show. The Krokop-Coleman match. Krokop is at minus 500, and Coleman is at plus 300. And I took one look at those and went, oh, my God.
Maybe it's worth betting on Coleman.
A lot of money here.
I mean, I expect, Jeff Hammond, by the way, has got a tan.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Got tanning cream on and everything.
Wow.
I think that's what it looks like to me. He's wrestling. He's going to wrestle in a tank top, which is a wise idea, by the way. And he looks like a pretty big old dude.
Well, he is a pretty big old dude.
I know, but with the shirt off, he just and the lack of tan. I don't know about that one.
He's Paul Buntello.
Paul Buntello. That's a boy. Can't judge a book by the cover.
No.
I mean, people see these guys like Baroni or something, and they, but the problem is that, I was thinking of this, if Paul Buntello, Paul Buntello looked tremendous in his win, and if he were to get a shot at Andrei Arlovsky, and I think Andrei Arlovsky would beat him, by the way, but if that were to happen, people would be like nobody would believe in Paul Buntello. But if Mike Kyle had never been beaten in UFC and had won the same way, people would believe in Mike Kyle.
Yeah.
Against Arlovsky, because people look at the bodies and they judge, which is, what...
Arlovsky's a very scary man, though.
What?
Arlovsky's a very scary man.
Yeah, but that's what created things like Bob Sapp and Hulk Hogan, I guess. Anyway, we're going to go ahead to a break. We'll start taking phone calls right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer. Bryan Alvarez, and we're here updating and following the TNA pay-per-view, which is going on as we speak. Gil Skipper defeated Petey Williams in the first match. Right now, we're in the second match, and it's Road Dogg, or formerly Road Dogg, B.G. James, teaming up with Jeff Hammond, the NASCAR announcer, against Michael Shane and Frankie Kazarian. And Frankie Kazarian just did an awesome dive out of the ring on B.G. James. So anyway, that's where we are right there. Real quick, Brian, we haven't talked about, I guess, the two interesting WWE things. Number one, Amy Weber looks to have quit the company, saying that she was harassed on the plane flight from Tokyo to Anchorage, Alaska this past week when the WWE crew, the Raw and SmackDown crew, were traveling together. And looks like she isn't going to be back. So John Bradshaw Layfield is out one girl and in a new one.
And
it might be in another one because there's so many women, between women that are on SmackDown and Raw that are just standing there for no reason, that you take slots because, and women in Ohio Valley who are just pulling their hair out these past couple of weeks, trying to figure out what they need to do, which means boob jobs, second boob jobs, and things like that.
I'm wondering if they can replace her and no one will notice.
Wouldn't it be funny if they put Joanne in her place?
Just put a crown on her and see if anyone notices?
Nobody will.
I do feel bad for Amy Weber. She was harassed for something the company was responsible for. As usual. And in particular, the whole, they found the flyer with her picture on it, which is so lame. Because, when you have a flyer with someone's picture on it, and you also have a magazine cover with the exact same picture on it, and they could probably find, 5 other instances where that same exact picture showed up. And, like she's working as a prostitute in Japan when she's not on the road in America with SmackDown. The whole thing was just so lame, and this I don't know if this one will, but at some point something is going to come back and bite WWE on the ass, and
Brock might.
Waiting to see what it is.
Brock might. Brock Lesnar might too.
Well, yeah.
So if we start going through court cases, wrestling, and morality, we're going to run a circle that never ends. So I don't even want to start. When it comes to honoring contracts and not honoring contracts, and it's just amazing that and the same people who have a history of not wanting to honor contracts for no reason other than I don't think it's right, so I shouldn't have to. Are so insistent on other people honoring contracts.
Well, yes,
yeah. I would guess actually that when it comes to major corporations. I bet you that WWE is probably no different than a lot of major corporations where the head of the company thinks, I don't have to honor a contract. I'm the head of the company, but God, and if when an employee did something, hey, he violated his contract. And by the way, Jeff Hammond, it looks like Jeff Hammond and B.G. James won that match. No surprise there.
They're rushing through the show, aren't they?
Yeah, right now, Trinity and Tracy and Dusty Rhodes are in the back of the truck.
That should be exciting.
Yeah. So, one of them had, and Larry Zbysko's coming in with someone who I have no idea who it is. It might be Tim Welch. But anyway, maybe he's playing a role as something. But anyway, no Johnny Fairplay. No, but the team's Trinity ended up with the 5 Delta Slam guys, the 2 375-pound guys that wear frat boy uniforms, who moved pretty well. And then Tracy had the Harris twins, who are now called the Disciples of, the Disciples of something or other. And they're not Ron and Don, they're Big R and Big D.
Oh!
So anyway, that's what's going on. Let's head to the phones. We're going to go in to Tallahassee. And James, what's happening?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
I was sitting in my contracts class on Monday, and they tell us to pull out our casebook, and sure enough, they put the page we go to has on it the case we do for class, Ventura versus Titan Sports.
Oh, that's another interesting one.
Yes, it was basically Jesse Ventura, hadn't been paid the royalties. Basically, it wasn't a contract case. It was more of a quantum merit case, more of a restitution case where there was technically no contract, but still he'd done the work. And
no. The Ventura case, there absolutely was a contract. He signed a contract.
Definition, right. I know what you're saying. But later on, when he left,
Jesse Ventura signed a contract, stated he would get no royalties. From doing what he was trying to get royalties for.
Right.
However, what the court ruled was that he was lied to by, I think it was Dick Glover was the guy. Dick Glover was negotiating.
The VP or whatever,
Titan. VP in the 80s with Titan, VP of Operations, I think. Dick Glover lied to him by saying that nobody in the company got royalties based on these videotapes. So he figured, well, if nobody does, then maybe he shouldn't. And then he found out that Hogan and Mr. T did. So, but he won his case big.
Oh yeah, he did. And what we were reading wasn't the district case. What you're talking about was the firm case when it went to the circuit court. You're
talking about the Court of Appeals case.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that one. Yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah,
wasn't that like a 4-3?
What did you say?
Wasn't that like a 4-3? Because I remember that was a close case. There were dissenting opinions on that.
Yes, there were. In fact, it's a long dissenting opinion in my case book on that, actually. The judge really, there was a dissenting opinion. I'm pulling it out right now. So I couldn't believe it. Then when I go onto the Internet to read your site, sure enough, I read about the whole Brock Lesnar thing. I'm going, it never stops. Never stops with the WWE.
No, and then excuse me, I got a bad cough. James Bell being arrested, You know what's so weird is like if you go through, and maybe it isn't so weird, but like, remember, Bryan, do you remember the guy who was heading WWE New York originally, and he, like, billed them for all the fake work?
Vaguely.
Yeah, okay. But he was the guy who headed WWE New York, because he was busted for embezzlement and fired as well. And it's like,
yeah. Okay.
And then you have, James Bell here doing this, and it's like, I wonder, like, if Vince, like, on the resumes looks for people with, like, histories of embezzlement or something. I mean, they just managed, they managed to, like, just, I don't know. They just managed to hire some, I don't know if it's, because we used to joke about the wrestlers, but look at their office. Not all of them. I mean, there's some, honest people in that front office, for sure, but there's some dishonest ones, for sure, too.
The name mentioned in the case, actually, Ventura, is Barry Bloom. That's the name that's also mentioned a lot, his agent,
Bloom, yeah.
That Dick Glover had contacted Bloom. And I'm sorry to all the wrestling fans out there who are like, can't understand what we're saying.
Bloom was one of the first agents to represent a wrestler, and Ventura was one of the first guys who when it came to negotiating contracts with Vince, Ventura never didn't negotiate with Vince. He said, call Barry Bloom, and Vince hated it. And then he probably hated it worse. The irony of all that is that, did you know that who represents Triple H today?
Who?
Barry Bloom.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that the weirdest story of all? Because there was a period where WWE and Barry Bloom were like on the outs during the 90s when, Barry Bloom was so close with Eric and, was representing Hall and Nash and people like that. And then he got back in Vince's good graces because this is when Ken Shamrock came out of UFC, and pretty much New Japan and WWE or WWF at the time and WCW were all interested in him, and he steered the deal to WWF, and that all of a sudden Barry Bloom was a good guy to Vince, because he didn't go to WCW at a time when I think it was early '97, so WCW was ahead in the ratings, and Shamrock was a pretty high commodity coming off of the UFC.
Well, what I was really calling about was not just this, but really the Brock Lesnar contractual situation. What exactly is in this contract, and what is the real story with this no-compete clause, it seems?
It's got a no-compete clause. I had thought he had a one-year no-compete clause, and his original contract had a one-year non-compete clause. But when he signed his release papers to get out of his contract, they made him sign a non-compete clause till 2010.
You can by how that sounds, you can challenge that on grounds that it was an adhesion contract for the most part. But then again, you could say, well, to get out of your contract was a contract itself. We bargained for a favor to get you out of this contract. So you had to agree to this. So honestly, I'd be interested to see what the court rules on that.
I don't see any way possible. This is me. I don't see any way possible that Lesnar loses this case.
I don't either. The way it sounds, it just sounds unconscionable.
It's totally unconscionable. It is because how can you prevent a guy from making a living for the next 5 years and several more months? I mean, you can't. So
it's basically saying we don't want you, and we also don't want anyone else
to want you
for 5 years.
For 5 years plus. Now I also believe. This is again, this is not a ruling of a lawyer. This is just, to me, a common sense appraisal of the whole situation. Right. My feeling is that what I think would be fair is if WWE were to bring him back at his market value, and to me, his market value is the market value that they were paying him. That's his market value, because they already showed us what his market value is by agreeing to pay him that much. That, they absolutely have the right to take him back, and they have the right to keep him from working anywhere else, I think, to 2010, if they're willing to take him back at or near his price. Now, the other problem with that is he doesn't want to go back for the same schedule because it drove him out of his mind, and that's one of the reasons he left. So it's a lot of real tricky things, but ultimately, if he doesn't want to go back, this is more interesting. If he doesn't want to go back because of the schedule, but he's got that 7-year contract, I think that they do have the right to keep him out if he refuses to go back. Now, if they refuse to hire him back, I don't think that they got a prayer. And you know what? 7 years, the court may still rule 7 years just too long.
Yeah, and also, Dave, with the courts, they're very hesitant on specific performance in employment contract situations. Basically, they worry about a hostile working environment.
Honestly, and hold on just 1 second, because I want to come back to this. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Right now, Raven is wrestling Dustin Rhodes, and we'll be back with more. We'll talk about a TNA pay-per-view. We'll talk about Lesnar's contract, and lots of other stuff. You'll listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Bryan, Alvarez, Figure 4 Weekly, and we're going to go back to James. We were hitting some thoughts on him on the Brock Lesnar case against WWE. I want to real quickly mention Dustin Rhodes is in the ring with Raven. Third match on the show. First match was Petey Williams over Elix Skipper, or Elix Skipper over Petey Williams, I should say. And the second match was E.G. James and Jeff Hammond over Michael Shane and Frankie Kazarian here on the TNA pay-per-view, which is going on as we speak. James, what's up?
No, we're just getting back to it. Just the courts seem really hesitant when it comes to like a specific performance that you will take Brock Lesnar back and he will work there. Courts are hesitant to do that sometimes just because of the fear of him working in a hostile work environment, you know, for his own sake. In addition, courts can be crazy sometimes. They can just rule for the heck of it. Go one day, you know what, we just want this to go this way, and go totally opposite of what you and I were just saying. So it just all depends. Honestly, you need to get
Connecticut court, so who knows?
It depends on the opinion of a good sports lawyer. Could probably tell you even better than just a first-year law student, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it just seems really interesting. It's just WWE loves to go to court a lot, it seems.
I don't know that they love to go to court. Well, on things like that, they probably do. But I think that the reason they go to court a lot is because Vince doesn't like to settle. You know, so they end up going to court, but I don't think he really likes going to court. Also, the other reason we got Raven just got a 3 count with his feet on the ropes in this match. I think another reason too is because they got a lot of confidence in Jerry McDevitt, who's
he's amazing.
He's an interesting person, let me tell you.
I've heard from people who litigated against him, and just an amazing litigator. You've seen him in person.
He is. I've dealt with him for years and years and years, and he's a scary guy. And what I respect about Jerry McDevitt, the good point of Jerry McDevitt is that he is an incredible researcher. I mean, incredible. I mean, you know, whatever they pay him, I mean, he earns it because he works so hard at what he does, and he's a very smart guy. The downside is I don't think he's got a conscience, which is actually good for working for Vince as well. So.
Well, hey, just as long as you don't violate legal ethics, you know, it's borderlines, you know, it's what we find, you know, as common people, you know, this is absolutely inappropriate, you know, if it borders on legal ethics, you know, if this over the line enough, you can get away with it, and McDevitt knows how to do that, you know, and I take my hat off to him as, you know, somebody in the legal craft, you know, I just do. He's just...
I always thought that the biggest compliment of Jerry McDevitt was, there was a lawyer who, and I forget her name, but she represented Dave Schultz.
Right.
And she litigated against Jerry McDevitt, and they were on, you know, major sides. And then later, she was in some sort of a legal case, or actually it was her husband.
Her husband, because who worked for Clinton, right? Or
who worked for Clinton, and as soon it was her husband who worked for Clinton. Dick, what was his name?
I can't think. I know who you.
I know who you. I mean, I know his face right off the top of my head. But anyway, so he gets in trouble, and the guy he goes to is Jerry McDevitt. So I think that's a pretty big compliment.
Wasn't Dick Morris, was it? Or
Dick Morris. It was Dick Morris, absolutely.
Dick Morris. Okay, yeah.
That's who it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was just an amazing litigator, and also if you go back to the steroid trial, which we talked about this on this program in the past, which is a criminal case, but still how McDevitt handled that case at various times, and how that former U.S. attorney probably didn't watch his wrestling, you know.
They didn't have, you know, they were missing one link of the case that would have, I mean, Sean O'Shea, who litigated against McDevitt, he was awesome. He really was. Laura Babetti, who was one of Vince's other attorneys, he was awesome. McDevitt was, I mean, you had great lawyers on both sides there. But, McDevitt did a great job, but the other point is that Vince wasn't guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have the goods on him. I mean, they really. They had a really bad case. They had close to a case, but that close doesn't count when you don't have.
Absolutely not. You're right.
Yeah. So anyway, James, anything else?
It was a pleasure talking to you guys. You take care. All right. It was.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. This was very appropriate because it was kind of a big legal week. We're going to go to Gino in San Francisco. Gino, what's happening?
Yeah, guys, how you doing?
Doing really good.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how long you think Kobashi is going to be champion of Pro Wrestling Noah, and your opinion of him in some of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
As far as with greatest matches, I've seen so many great Kobashi matches. Gosh, the Misawa matches, the Akiyama match from the Tokyo Dome, the recent one. But I mean, Stan Hansen and Steve Williams and all of those guys. My God, Kobashi's one of the best there's ever been. What's going on the show? Real quick, I was mention Dustin Rhodes that didn't last long. Dustin Rhodes has been put in a straitjacket, and Raven is just whipping him. And Cassidy Riley tried to make the save, but he just got DDT'd. So anyway, that's where we're at. But anyway, go ahead.
And also the other thing too is the draft extension. What do you think it's going to be in a full draft, or just like last year where they only had like 10 names? And who do you think is going where?
I got no clue other than I know what the plan was with Cena and Orton switching sides, just the big names to switch. But I presume it'll be a draft like last year. I think that they'll do one every year because it freshens up a couple of mid-card guys. Even though God, did anyone, when you really look at the draft, Dupree was supposed to become a star, and that didn't work out. Shelton Benjamin was supposed to be a big star, and, he's a single now, but I don't know that he's that much more over than he really was in the tag team with Charlie Haas, because they were really a great tag team. Brian, anyone off the top of your head, really benefit big time? Nydia, she doesn't even have a job.
I don't really think...
The Dudleys,
the thing with the draft is they really only need, one big guy from each side to jump ship and then push them like crazy.
Yeah, because, Booker and RVD, I guess Booker a little bit, but only, RVD, RVD's no bigger than he was on the other side.
Well, the thing is, they need to have the guy jump and push him right out of the gate and not stop. The Booker thing was lame because he should have jumped and started feuding with Eddie for the title immediately, and instead they didn't go that direction, and he was a mid-carder again, just like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If they had Orton jump ship and pushed him to the moon, it would be great.
Well, they're going to have to do that.
And they'd have to do the same with Cena, but Hunter's going to beat him right off the bat, so.
Nah, never right off the bat. I'm serious. Ryan Wilson's name is not, it's going to be Triton.
We needed some new names in TNA.
Yeah. Well, Dusty's got to do something, right? Sure. Anything else,
I was just going to say they got to do this draft right because SmackDown only seems to have one good match, either the pay-per-view or the show itself. They only have one match, and it's just getting kind of lame.
SmackDown is getting really tough. I like the Japan show, but geez, more often than not, it hasn't been good. And the pay-per-views, they've been weak. WWE, I just don't think. To me, I don't think you can afford to have consistently weak pay-per-views because people just lose interest. And then pay-per-view is that's really, that's what makes you your real money in this business.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, great.
All right. Let's go to Sterling in Atlanta. Sterling, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to piggyback off what the last caller was saying because I know you guys, I was talking to a friend earlier actually about the pay-per-view, how there were only 2 matches announced. And mainly, you look at the star power on SmackDown, there's really no other matches you can put on there. And they don't do a good job of building up matches. Even if it's not,
they sure aren't here. I'm thinking this is only guessing, and this is because they've done no angles to even build this up. I'm guessing they'll do Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio against the Bashams, and maybe John Heidenreich against Booker T. But no one's going to care about those matches.
Right, because they haven't built no build-up to it. There's no feud, nothing. Even back in the old times, I'm an old school kind of fan, but back in the old times, every match had a storyline. Every match.
Oh yeah. For a while there, they wouldn't put a pay-per-view on match without a storyline. But the other part was that, even if they didn't announce, like sometimes they would save like one match to be announced the week of the show, okay, like and a big one. But they would announce, you'd still get 3 or 4 matches announced by now, but you would actually know what the match was because the angles were being built up. They just didn't shoot the final angle to lead to the match yet.
Right.
Like realistically, I mean, on a lot of these pay-per-views where we don't know, quote, the matches are not announced, we pretty much know the card. This one, I mean, realistically, I mean, like, I know 3 matches, and I gave you a guess for 2 more, which easily could be wrong. I mean, it's that to me, that's bad booking because the booking should tell you, the matches that you want to see before they're announced anyway, because you're going, I want to see, and what do you want to see on SmackDown? Bryan, anything? I always want to see Rey Mysterio, but it's not like, you know what I mean?
How about Rey and Angle again?
Well, I mean, really, there's nothing.
Yeah, we won't see that, though, because Angle's wrestling Cena.
Right. I mean, there's no tag team. Well, the tag team that you mentioned, Eddie and Ray, I mean, that would be nice, but, I mean, they're not really a tag team. There's no real tag teams anymore. And, they could have pushed Charlie Haas like they did Shelton Benjamin, I thought. But I'm just hoping, like, maybe this year's draft will maybe take some of those Raw stars, because it seems like Raw has everybody, and SmackDown really doesn't have any star power. Nobody that can really carry the show at all.
Yeah, what's the thing, too? I think a lot of the Raw guys really, with things like going to SmackDown, is a step down. But, to me, if you get Randy Orton over there, and I don't see any reason why Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels can't go over there. And then, that's enough star power where you really have a lot of new matches all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I think Chris Jericho would do wonders over on SmackDown right about now. I mean, he's a great.
Yeah, and on top, he's not going to be on top on Raw anyway. At least, he's not going to be the top babyface. He's not going to be the top heel. On SmackDown, he can be either one, I think, or right up there.
I'm not a big Triple H basher like everybody else is, but I mean, it just seems like all the stars over there are built up to lose to him, so
yeah, they are.
SmackDown and be built up at least to have a shot to win the title. I mean, I'm not the biggest JBL fan. I think he's done okay as a champion, not maybe as a worker, but maybe as a mic worker. But
mic worker, he's great.
Mikey's great. I mean, he was hilarious on Thursday with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Godzilla thing, but
yeah, I mean, that went too long. But I thought the thing when he was in that backstage thing, was pretty funny.
Yeah, but I mean, at least I think some stars on Raw would have a shot to be a champion on SmackDown and be good for him actually. So I'm hoping the draft will do that, but last year's draft was a disappointment, like you guys were saying earlier.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I'm looking forward to it because I want to get out of this freaking doldrums that we've been in months, and it's okay now because WrestleMania is not that far away, and there's a lot of excitement, or not as much as I would like there to be, but there is excitement leading up to WrestleMania. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what they do and just do something for that SmackDown show because I'm amazed the ratings have held up as well as they have. Because to me,
I don't think amazed really.
I can hardly watch that show.
SmackDown really needs some better workers on top.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, JBL, he's all right, but, his
not with Undertaker
against John
and Big Show, he's not all right.
Huh?
He didn't have a great match with Undertaker and Big Show, and and then John Heidenreich is brutal.
John Cena?
John Cena's average on a good night.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and do a break right now, okay? All right, we will be back with more right after this. We got AMW, Kid Cash, and Lance Hoyt in the ring for the NWA Tag Team title. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. I want to remind everyone who's on the line waiting, we're not going to take a call because we only have about a minute and a half before we got to go to the commercial for the hourly news break, but we'll get to everyone right when we start the second hour. You can call 1-800-878-PLAY when someone hangs up, but all lines are lit. We are in the middle of the AMW against Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt for the NWA tag titles on the TNA pay-per-view that's going on right now, and AMW has, they have I guess a streak now. It's a streak of 2. But, I mean, 2 incredible matches in a row on pay-per-view. And all I can say from watching this match is that if the streak's over. No, I'm not saying that. If the streak ends, it is not for lack of effort. Because they are working so hard. But, and Kid Cash, Kid Cash can be pretty good. Now, there was a deal, of course, Bryan, one of your favorite terms is the Cornish hype, right?
Yes.
Well, Lance Hoyt on the floor did a Cornish loaf. There's such a word, and if there is, I think I just made it up, on James Storm, because he tried to do it, and, well, he didn't quite do it.
That's very...
The guy got, he barely got him off the ground in attempting that move.
Having a good match with Lance Hoyt is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, well, they're trying, but, I mean, I've seen, from what I've seen, Storm and Harris are working really hard, and so's Cash. And actually, Lance Hoyt is working hard. He's just... he's Lance Hoyt.
Yeah.
What can I say? Anyway, the music is playing, so we got to get out of here right now for our hourly break. Right after the news, we're going to come back. We'll talk more about the TNA pay-per-view, as well as take calls on whatever you guys want to talk about. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Okay, welcome here to the second hour of Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer. Here's with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here for the next hour following the TNA pay-per-view. And Chris Harris and James Storm AMW just defeated Kid Cash and Lance Hoyt to keep the tag team titles. And I'll tell you what, it's I'm not being able to watch this thing full on, but it appears to me that match was really good, and I didn't expect that. Jeff Hardy and Abyss in the Full Metal Mayhem match is up next. So that's what's going on there on the pay-per-view show. We've also had, so far, we had pre-game show. We had wins for the Harris twins, who are Tracy's guys, and Phi Delta Slam, who are two 375-pound looking Florida indie guys who are Trinity's guys. And then we had Michael Shane and Frankie Kazarian lost to Jeff Hammond and Road Dogg. Petey Williams lost to Elix Skipper and Ravenpin Dustin Rhodes. And obviously that feud must continue. Let's see. We will go to let's go to Charlie in New Orleans. Charlie, what's going on?
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing really good.
Great show, man. Listen to y'all every Sunday night. Sirius Satellite Radio, channel 122. I love it, man.
Thank you very much. We're getting a lot of new listeners on Sirius Satellite Radio, and I think that we may be getting a lot more in a couple months. So this is cool.
I hope so. I want to talk a little bit about Victoria. Is she dating any of the wrestlers, or is she just single, or she don't wrestle much? I see her every once in a while.
I don't think she's married. I haven't heard of her dating someone. Maybe she needs to get in a cab and find out how to get a guy. No, I haven't heard. I don't know. I wouldn't think it would be that hard for her to find a guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that.
What do you think, Bryan? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, really, very much. But I don't see her every once in a while. She wrestles, and they don't put her on too much. And I usually go with Trish and one other girl.
Well, she's got to be on a lot because Trish Stratus needs an opponent, but she's the only one. I think that her and Trish are going to wrestle like 180 times this year. They're going to feud all year.
No kidding. Yeah. But that's good to know.
I think, unless they bring some women in who can wrestle.
Okay, guys, y'all got a great show. Keep it going.
Okay, thanks very much.
They have the women, they just don't bring them up.
Who?
Well, some of the Ohio Valley girls.
I mean, do they wrestle at the Trish Stratus Victoria level?
They do better than Candice.
Oh, yeah, Candice. Major push probably tomorrow night to stop that Super Bowl thing. But I think they have a contract at the top of like this thing being hung from the ceiling in this match. I wonder what the contract is for. Oh God, I hope it's not for like a world title match next month between Jarrett and
Maybe it's a release form.
How about it's a contract where you can't get fired for a year. Do you remember that thing that Test had, the immunity thing?
Oh, that sure didn't work. He just brought that up when they canned him.
What?
Except it expired.
Oh, it expired a long time before they canned him, yeah. Anyway, we got to head to a break right now. We'll be back with more callers right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Bryan, Alvarez, Victor Week. We've got a full bank of calls. We'll start getting to them. Jeff Jarrett and Abyss are having their Full Metal Mayhem match going on as we speak on the TNA pay-per-view that's going on from Orlando in front of a really hot, sold-out crowd of people that got in for free. And it's a different wrestling world sometimes, isn't it? You know, I even though it's like not all that uncommon and everything, I guess just because of when I grew up and the mentality of wrestlers and everything in those days, the idea that people like pay promoters to get on cards and that the fans get in free, that's so weird to me.
Well, it's a sign of the times, if nothing else.
Yeah, I know. Then again, some of the people who I see in rings, you know what I mean?
Should be paying double to get on the show.
I mean, I just keep thinking, have some pride. I mean, I wouldn't even leave my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's go to Alan in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Alan, what's going on?
How's it going, man?
What?
Dave, how's it going?
It's going really good. What's happening?
Not much. I wanted to ask you about Hogan, if he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. Hopefully not, but...
I figured you were going to ask about Hogan. I don't know why. But, no, I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's never a shoo-in with Hogan because Hogan's always playing a game, and I don't know what... But the Hall of Fame, I don't think it's going to be a game. I think this is the year for him to go in, and it's not the year for anyone else to go in. If anyone else, any big name wanted to go in this year, they go like, Dave, should I go in? And I go like, sell him out and go next year, because Hogan's going to overshadow you. That's the reality.
Have you seen the new Gordon Soley book or the Dusty Rhodes book that's supposed to be released next month?
Well, the Dusty Rhodes book I wouldn't have seen. Well, I haven't seen the Gordon Soley book either. No, I haven't seen either of them.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Okay. I was going to ask you. I know that you had wrote sometime years ago, I don't know if I'm quoting you correctly, but Gordon Soley and Dusty Rhodes weren't the best of friends. Is that true or what?
Yeah, they were. Well, I mean, I don't know what Dusty's going to say, but...
They didn't get along?
I always thought because they were like the Florida version of, Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali. I mean, they were so... they were so much a part of each... I wouldn't say they were a part of that Dusty was necessarily a huge part of Gordon Soley's career in the sense that Gordon Soley was already a legendary announcer before Dusty Rhodes' babyface turn. But the glory days of Dusty Rhodes, that everyone remembers in Georgia and Florida were with Gordon Soley, handing the mic and Gordon Soley, fawning on him as the announcer would do for a babyface. The way Gordon Soley doing as much as he could do because he was very high on keeping the credibility of Gordon Soley up. But they were. You would think from watching the TV that they were best of friends and they admired each other. And Dusty. I mean, Gordon did not necessarily like Dusty Rhodes that much, but he would not. I mean, I know privately he would talk about it, but publicly he would just give the answer of, we were not best of friends, and I'll leave it at that because I think he didn't want to destroy that illusion that those two created for so many years.
Oh, because I did see, as far as Dusty's book, if you got a minute, I saw on the Pro Wrestling Insider there is some quotes about Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and the love-hate relationship, and it looks like he's kind of firing a...
Well, he said he was going to do a receipt on Flair, but he's doing that to get interest for the book, and because... And also, because of all people, I say this, it's like, if Mick Foley... writes another book and answers what Ric Flair says, I can understand that because I think that in some ways Ric Flair was unfair to Mick Foley. In a lot of ways, Bret Hart, was, maybe Ric Flair was unfair to Bret Hart in some ways. I thought Dusty Rhodes bent over backwards to be fair to Dusty. I mean Ric Flair bent over backwards to be fair to Dusty Rhodes.
In the book, you mean?
Yeah, when I read the book, I was like, oh, boy, he could have gone after Dusty worse. Now, David Crockett and some other people went after Dusty real bad, and I was surprised. And to the point where Dusty would be mad, but she would be mad at David Crockett because Ric Flair took it easy on him, I thought. Yeah, so you feel that Ric Flair and him are close now, or you don't know? They'll work together. They'll always work together. They're not close by any means, you know. But if Vince McMahon brought Dusty Rhodes in, which is not happening, and said, Rick, go work with Dusty and put him over, of course Rick's going to do it. Right. Yeah. I mean, they had love-hate relationship basically? Well, here's the deal with Ric Flair and Dusty. It's like in the 80s, they were the two big stars for Jim Crockett, right. So they were competing for the affection of Jim Crockett in a weird way. That sounds weird, but so there was always that. And Dusty wanted to be the baby face. Yeah. And Flair, Flair liked being a heel, but the fans loved Ric Flair in many ways more than Dusty Rhodes. So you had that situation where, and I went to so many arenas where, the crowd would be split 50-50. The ringside people would be for Flair, that paid for the expensive seats, and the people in the cheap seats in the balcony would be for Dusty because Dusty was a man of the common people, so to speak. And it created a great atmosphere in buildings when they were packed and you had the 50-50 reaction. But, Dusty as a babyface never really liked that. I think Flair as a heel did like it. But then later, obviously they had some major problems in the late 80s. Personality clash, right? No, but I don't think it was so much personality clash as business clash in the sense of, I think that Flair got tired of Dusty's booking, and Dusty... Dusty's Dusty. You got to understand, Dusty in his mind can do no wrong. Dusty's the genius of all geniuses, and Dusty's the whatever. He's Steven Spielberg, in his mind. And Rick wasn't happy with things, and he wanted Rick gone. And jealousy? It's not. It's just business problems. And when he wanted Rick, gone. At the time of the sale of the company, what Dusty didn't know, and Rick, for that matter, didn't know either, was that, the only guy Turner wanted. Turner really, in wrestling, Ted Turner, really knew it. It wasn't Dusty Rhodes, it was Ric Flair. And it was like Ric Flair was the key to that purchase, and Dusty was one, when that thing was being sold, Dusty, thinking I'm in complete control, I'm Dusty Rhodes, right. Working to get Ric Flair to quit and go to WWE. Yeah, he shot himself in the foot. And the Turner people watching this, they fired Dusty Rhodes because they didn't want to lose Ric Flair. Right. So that's where, and I think that Dusty Rhodes, when he got fired, probably blamed it on Ric Flair. Right. And, Ric Flair may have gone to them and gone, I can't stay with Dusty, and I'm going to leave, or he's going to go, and maybe they I don't know that it happened like that. Yeah. But I know what's going on with the Rick Steiner, Flair's supposed to do the job for Rick Steiner in 5 minutes, right? Arcade. And, obviously that's going to lead to a lot of problems. So there was open hostility between them or no? I think that there was open hostility between them to other people. Not necessarily to each other, because I think that to each other I'm guessing they probably worked together. Cordial. Flair doesn't have bloats with a lot of people. He does have them, but right. A lot of people. He sure does. Now he doesn't know. But he also internalizes a lot of things. Maybe that's why he has them now. Maybe he doesn't internalize them as much because there'd be people who would get him really mad, and he would never say nothing bad about him, and there were people who were screwing him, and he would never say anything bad about him. Now, obviously now he's changed because now, yeah. He said, just real quick, he said that he was very close to him. He says this is a quote. It was on Pro Wrestling Insider, and close enough to know how insecure he really is, and that I believe his lack in trust in me as a booker was really unjust. This is a quote from Dusty Rhodes. Even though I have some thick skin and it hurt me as all of his friends or so-called friends only told him what he wanted to hear. Only Arn was really close to him. The rest in reality just hangers on and made him bitter about who and what brought him to the dance. Do you think that's accurate? In Dusty's mind, I think that Dusty's telling the complete truth. In his mind. Right. But I think that Dusty doesn't, I don't know that he, I don't know. I mean, the book will be interesting because it'd be very interesting to see what he writes about the death of Jim Crockett Promotions, and why it went down. He's gonna take responsibility, you mean? How much? If he takes, I don't expect him to take full responsibility, okay? Because he'll blame the business people and all that. Right. I just want to mention Jeff Hardy is on top of the stage and he's about to jump on a bit, and there's like a zillion tables set up. He's like way up in the air. This is like It's higher than that thing that he did at the WrestleMania. He just did the Swan time. That was only through one table. I don't know if it was higher than the one at WrestleMania. Now that I look at it, but
Nash is going to win tonight
off the giant ladder.
No, he didn't go off the giant ladder. No. It wasn't as high as the giant ladder. He was up the stage. Let me see. I'll estimate the thing. It looks like it's by the top of his jump to the bottom, where he hit the table, looks to be about 6-7 feet. So no, it wasn't like a 12-foot ladder jump. No, it was half of that. But he's hurting. Holding, and this is probably hurting too. Anything else, Alan?
Well, no, I wanted to ask you just real quick. Nash, you feel he's going to go over tonight or no?
What?
Nash is going to win?
I sure hope not.
Me too.
I don't think so.
Sure.
We'll find out in a couple hours.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, we're back with more right after this. You listen to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Hey, welcome. Head to the Wrestling Observer with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly and Abyss. Just to Jeff Hardy over the top rope where like 1 million tables were set up, and I didn't like his landing at all. And Abyss has just grabbed it's like this cardboard thing, and it says contract on it, and he's opening up the contract. He's very happy. I'm not sure exactly what he's won, but I guess I'll find out later tonight. But Abyss looks like he's won the match, and Jeff Hardy looks like he isn't too happy. He's attacking the tables, that some of which broke and some of which didn't.
Wow, they're turning heel?
But attacking, I don't know. He hit a bad landing. He was like supposed to go through a bunch of tables and didn't quite. I think that there's plenty of unbroken tables that he's just breaking. I guess he feels like that since they paid for the tables, they got to get broken. I don't know. Earlier in the during one of the breaks, I want to make mention of this real quick. Bryan, you and I were talking about we haven't had enough comedy, but and you're going like, there's some funny stuff, but that we have read this past week or haven't read. But you know what I think is funny is whenever I read somebody say The Rock sold out. I don't know, for this week, it just cracks me up for some reason.
You get some strange things I've noticed.
What do you mean?
Well, every now and then you'll send me something that, you'll have some major cover story in The Observer. And then 3 weeks later, one of your readers will write in saying, so what's the scoop on this?
Oh, I get those constantly.
I have never got one of those.
Really?
Never. It blows my mind because I read them. I just laugh.
Yeah. Oh, no, I laugh too. It's funny. Well, I mean, I thought the whole thing, the whole Rock thing, the whole Rock thing this week was funny anyway, but I was talking more about because, there was the breaking news this week that The Rock, was contract ran out and he's not doing WrestleMania, that somehow, we've talked about it on the show for weeks on this show.
Mm-hmm.
But people going like The Rock has sold out, because he's not doing WrestleMania this year. Because the situation and he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if even if he had to do a movie in March and couldn't do it, it's like the whole sold out thing, and it's those ECW fans that started this thing, and it really bothers me.
Wrestling.
I mean, I remember when Mick Foley went to WWE and Chris Jericho went to WCW, and being at the arenas when they did that, and it was just so embarrassing.
Has anyone in wrestling really? Well, I shouldn't ask that because I'm sure they have. But the Brock Lesnar one by far was the best claim of a sellout that I've ever heard.
Oh! Because he was giving up $1 million a year to work.
He left $1 million to potentially make a couple $100,000 playing football, and somehow
$230
selling out.
It's like people are. I mean, there are people and Lesnar's another one. The reaction. It's like people feel like they're jilted lover or something breaking up with them. Because they're doing something else. And I mean, in Lesnar's case, he had plenty of reasons, but, it's like if he really wanted to be a football player, and, he failed at it, okay? But if he wanted to do it, he was running out of time. And he probably went 2 years too late, to be honest. Because if Lesnar had gone when he was, let's say, in 2000, when he was getting off of the NCAAs and signed with WWE or WWF, if he'd gone in 2000, I think he might have made it. He would have had fewer injuries.
Or at least they would have sent him to Europe or something.
Well, they would have taken him as a project. I mean, Steve Neal made it. Carlton Hazelrig made it in, in another generation, and they were guys who skipped college, never played any college football, that were NCAA champion wrestlers. And, Brock is athletic as either of those guys. And I would say more, because Steve Neal's an awesome athlete, but I think he would have he would have made it. But, it was 5 years later, and he didn't. But you got to give him the guts for trying. And in Rock's case, there is no other decision. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like, he likes wrestling and all that, but it's like, there's no other decision. I mean, you make $15 million a movie, or you go on the road for, whatever he makes on the road. I mean, he makes good money on the road, too, but come on.
Not to mention the fact when his contract was coming up, they didn't bother to call him.
No, but I'm saying even if it was his choice, which it wasn't. But yeah, no. Well, there's something there, but I don't know what it is, and we've been asked about it on the show, and people have asked about me that to me for weeks now. I don't have a clue why that happens. Anyway, real quick before we get back to the calls, if you're looking for the latest in pro wrestling information, you can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We have daily news updates from around the world, as well as there's features. All the TV reviews are up there, and there's also info on how to get both the Wrestling Observer newsletter that I put out every week and Figure 4 that Bryan puts out every week. And I just want to say that I didn't get Figure 4 this week, and it makes me sad. I didn't get it on Saturday, which always makes me sad. But Monday, at least I'll get some good comedy on Monday before Raw, so that's cool. Monday's really, I got a good schedule on Monday now, though, because I usually end up getting Figure 4. And even if Raw is terrible, I usually end up getting my OVW tape. And, even a bad OVW tape makes me happy.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't really... sometimes I'll watch the show and I'll realize that it wasn't really a very good show, but for some reason... I still was happy when it was over, and I don't know why.
You know what it is? It's that campy 80s wrestling, even at its worst.
Yeah.
And at its best, it's pretty darn good booking.
Yeah.
And occasionally good matches. I heard the Dudleys match with Eminem, which was on last night's television show, was really good. That's actually from several people. In fact, Lance Storm even wrote about it on his website. That go out of your way to see this week's show.
Wow.
Yeah, Lance Storm does a run-in.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think what else is on there? Well, that's the main stuff. Anyway, let's get to Jerry in Cleveland. But also, you can get info on how to get both the Wrestling Observer newsletter that I put out every week, Figure 4 that Bryan puts out every week. You'll enjoy reading both newsletters. Thousands of people will tell you that. Let's go to Jerry in Cleveland. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing really good.
Hey, relatively new subscriber to Sirius, and that's how I'm catching you guys.
Oh, great. We're getting a lot of that, and that's really cool.
Yeah, you guys do a great show.
Thank you.
Hey, I picked up the RVD DVD this weekend.
Yeah, it just came out.
And I wanted to get you guys' opinion about something, being the experts. Why is it that the WWE, that is, won't take an established star like Rob Van Dam and maybe try to build a SmackDown around him, rather than trying to push people like a Luther Reigns or a Mark Jindrak?
Well, Rob Van Dam... Rob Van Dam, I don't want to say that from day one, Rob Van Dam had problems because they viewed him as, among other things, an ECW guy, which was a bad label. A WCW guy and an ECW guy were bad labels, as you've seen by what happened to guys with those labels in WWE when they came there, with the exception of a guy like Ric Flair, because he was Hunter's childhood hero. But so that was part of it. The other part of it was before Rob Van Dam got signed. Remember there was a long period where ECW folded before Rob Van Dam came in. It was several months, and the reason it was because they talked to a lot of the wrestlers, well, actually all the wrestlers that had worked in ECW and worked with Rob Van Dam, and asked about bringing Rob Van Dam in, and I believe every single one of them was negative about it. Now they won't say that now, but that's what happened. But eventually, there was so many people going, sign the guy. So they signed the guy, and then he got over really big, much bigger than they expected, which they rationalized as the few ECW fans are very vocal and making a lot of noise, but our fans don't know who he is, even though the crowds were going crazy for him at the time. So, because our fans don't know who he is, even though they're going crazy for him, we have to rebuild him because people here don't know who he is, because ECW only doing an 0.9 rating. How could they know who he is? So that was the rationale. So they... did it, then Rob did hurt a bunch of people with his kicks. and they didn't like that. And then they didn't like the fact that Rob wrestled different from everyone, which actually was a plus for him. Because if he wrestled just like everybody else, he wouldn't really be that good at it. He was a unique guy. And, so there's your answer, all in all. From day one, I had a lot of things stacked up against him, and there's also this feeling from the Hunter Brigade that has a lot of power, is that you have to be a complete wrestler. You have to be a good worker in their style, which Rob is not a good worker in their style. You have to be a great promo. They don't have any confidence in his promo ability. And you have to be able to get over, which he can do, but they pretend he can't anyway. So there's I guess that's the Rob Van Dam story.
Right. And, one more thing with regard to that, actually, with the TNA pay-per-view going on tonight. Do you think that kind of an upstart company like TNA could take someone like him?
Oh, my God.
And just work wonders with him and maybe get the competition back to where, it's...
Oh, TNA competition with WWE, you're just... WCW was, I don't say anything. WCW was dead. Like dormant in 1993, and, within a couple of years, they were beating WWF. Mm-hmm. So, stuff can happen, but, God, I just don't see TNA, they don't have the star power, to, and the credibility and the TV exposure and the name and all that to beat WWF for a long, long time, if ever. I don't anticipate that ever happening. Now, if they could get Rob Van Dam, there's some guys that, if they became free agents and they pick them up, like Billy Gunn, who they're going to pick up, I'm sure, who might even be on the show. I wouldn't necessarily think it's such a great idea because it's kind of living in the past. But if it was Rob Van Dam, I would say make him champion. I would. It's like, why not?
Mm-hmm. So, hey, guys, keep up the great work.
Okay, you're very welcome.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, anything else? Brian, you got any thoughts on any of that?
I think without question that if they picked up Rob Van Dam, it would be a big thing for them.
Yeah.
I don't think it would turn everything around, but he's kind of one of those guys that I think enough people think has been screwed over that if they used him and pushed him, I think people would support the company for that a little bit more. I don't see him jumping up to like a 2 rating or anything like that.
Well, nobody's going to do that. I don't know if they're going to be, look where they are. I don't know if they're ever going to win on this network.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we'll be back with more right after this. Real quick, guys, DDP and Monty Brown against Team Canada in the ring right now as the show is going on, and we have a 30-minute match coming up soon.
Bring this up when we get back from commercial. I have to say something about this.
What about, okay, we'll talk more about Van Dam?
DDP.
Oh, DDP. Oh, I can talk a lot about DDP, too. Okay, we'll talk about DDP when we come back, as well as take some more phone calls. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer News. I know it's Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and it's breaking down in the tag team match, and it's DDP and Monty Brown against Team Canada, Eric Young and Bobby Roode. What are you going to talk about DDP, Brian?
He took a guitar shot to the head recently, and that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, because he's got neck problems?
Oh, my God, when your neck is in that sort of shape...
He was told to retire?
Yeah, taking a back bump is one thing, but taking any sort of thing that compresses your vertebrae, like a guitar shot to the top of your head, is completely insane.
What is it? What is it with a guy, okay, DDP, okay, and you know him better than me. What is it with a guy who, I think he turns 49 this year. I know, and people think he's older, but that's his real age. But he turns 49 this year, and he made a lot of money during his good years in WCW. He had 7-figure years, and the doctor told him that if you take the wrong bump, that you could be paralyzed. If that's me, I'm sorry. I remember when the doctor told that to Ted DiBiase, he retired from wrestling.
That was the end.
If you tell me they told Tommy Young, and he was just a referee, and he retired from wrestling. You tell me that a bad bump and I'm risking paralysis? You can always get paralyzed being dropped on your head in wrestling anyway. But when, your neck is so bad that it increases that risk to where it's significant, you don't have to wrestle.
Yeah. I don't know. I would like to get some older, injured wrestlers on this show and find some way to nicely ask them, why are you still doing this? Like Ric Flair, at least Ric Flair is not really in danger of having his neck broken at any time. I'm sure he's in pretty bad shape.
Ric Flair, I mean, all those bumps. I mean, as much as he can go on TV and do stuff, and I don't know.
He's some sort of freak of nature.
Yeah, okay, and he is. There's no question Ric Flair's a freak of nature, but he has got to be hurting so bad when no one's around. You know what I mean? When no one's around. I mean, like I know, like when people are around, he's not hurting. He won't he won't let people see him hurt. I mean, he had what are we talking about? He had the neck problem at that he broke his neck before WrestleMania last year and worked WrestleMania and had a great match.
Yeah, but that's something a little bit different. Like, you can crack a bone in your neck and your doctor...
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not as bad with you. You're right.
When your doctor goes, you fall down wrong and you could be dead. To me, that's like, okay.
Okay, you know what, though? We don't know what doctors have told Ric Flair. I mean, I know some of what they have.
He's ignored.
And I don't know that, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know that he's any different than Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who, they've defied doctors for so long. I mean, I'm sure there was a doctor when Ric Flair broke his back in '75 in that crash. Although, he had always told me that he was kind of told that you will be able to wrestle again. But there's probably one doctor there goes, at some point, you're not going to be able to wrestle again. You just broke your back. So, you can listen to a doctor. Kurt Angle, how many doctors told him, you can't go to the '96 Olympics. You're out of your mind.
Well, yeah, but he is a real disaster waiting to happen.
Kurt?
Yeah.
Kurt's a sad story now.
I mean, there's something about, Ric Flair having a broken back, the doctor saying you could probably wrestle again, and the doctor telling Kurt Angle God knows how many times you need to retire, and him not doing so. I mean, I worry very much watching him in the ring.
I worry when I watch Flair. Anyway, let's go to Jimmy in Martinsburg, Virginia. Jimmy, what's going on?
Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Not too much. What's happening?
Got a couple of questions, though. Where is Mean Gene at now?
He's still, he had kidney transplant surgery.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that a while back.
Yeah, he's under contract to WWE. I mean, I expect he'll be, part of the Hall of Fame festivities, and, he's going to be a big part of 24/7 if it gets going, and then obviously that's had a lot of delays, so I think that's, as far as why he's not on TV more, they believe that old people shouldn't be on television.
Well, I mean, he had a really good program that came on. What was the name of the magazine show he had?
Show, yeah. Well, it had run its course rating-wise when they started getting really soft. I mean, at the very beginning, the show was, I loved that show for a while, and then for a while I laughed at the show because they would do that biased WWF version of history that was just so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, Hunter stopped liking it because he thought that was ruining the business, so then it just became, what it was.
Which is really funny when you think about it.
Yeah, I know.
The best thing I liked about it was the time they did the expose on the Flair plane crash.
That was really good.
I thought that was excellent.
They had no political. There was no political agenda on that story, so it was really good. When they covered a story with no political agenda, when there was no politics involved in the story, it was pretty good. It was. When they started covering stuff that had political agendas, then some of it wasn't so good. But I remember, Confidential was one of those shows for a long time that I didn't watch, and I can tell you that, boy, I don't watch Velocity. Even with Paul London having good matches, I rarely watch Velocity.
Right. Another thing. Have you seen the McDonald's commercial with the Lucha Libre wrestler on it?
Shocker. Believe it or not, I've never seen that commercial, but I've heard about it a million times. And Dusty Rhodes saw it because he loved it.
I mean, it's a good. I tried it. What if you do? It's a great older wrestler, a gray-headed guy.
Yeah, he's actually bleached blonde. He's Shocker, and he's. Brian, you know what Shocker is? I think he's probably late 20s, maybe 30s.
Yeah, I don't think he's much older than.
Yeah, he's not that old.
Okay. Another thing. About these the Hall of Fame inductions, I got one little problem with the group this year. If you're going to put a Russian wrestler in, put Ivan Koloff in. Don't put Nikolai Volkov. I'm sorry.
You know what? You're right, but I've written about it, and then every time I write about the WWE Hall of Fame, when I'm done, I feel stupid because why did I just waste space writing about the WWE Hall of Fame? There's no logic, rhyme, or reason to it. They're trying to make it more legit, but they You know,
I mean, Ivan Koloff, sure, he wasn't a real Russian, but how many...
Well, I guess Nikolai's more Russian than Ivan, but yeah, I mean, Ivan Koloff was Nikolai Volkov was a well below average worker who, had some runs of stardom, he had some main events, but, Ivan Koloff was just
a superstar.
Yeah, much bigger in much more places, and, Ivan Koloff was very underrated. Mm-hmm. In hindsight, because a lot of people who were younger only saw him in the Carolinas in the 80s when he was, very old by then. Mm-hmm. But the Ivan Koloff of the 70s was a great heel in the AWA, WWF, Florida, everywhere he went. I mean, Ivan Koloff was a mainline superstar in this business.
Oh, he was. He was a big star with Jim Crockett, too.
Sure, yeah, of course.
And I'll tell you another thing.
Championship Wrestling, Ole Anderson and Ivan Koloff.
Yeah.
Awesome tag team.
Yeah, did you get to see the Stern thing with China?
I saw the second night. I didn't see the first night.
I saw the first night of it. She came in there. I don't know what she's on or what.
That was really sad.
It is.
I from hearing the radio interview, I thought that I was going to be very entertained by the TV show. But when I saw the TV show, I was not entertained. I was just like mortified because it was, if she doesn't get help, she's going to die. And I've seen too many people die, and I just, just because someone wrote a bad book and because he didn't like a program with Chris Jericho, I mean, I don't want to see someone die. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. I mean, the thing about, she just talked about, she would do a line of cocaine right there on his show. I mean,
she took her freaking clothes off.
Oh yeah, she's
sitting there in her underwear on TV.
I mean, and she did a song naked with her brother sitting right next to her, so.
That was just too weird for me.
All right, well, y'all take it easy, man.
Okay, thanks very much. Let's go to Ken in Cranford, New Jersey. Ken, what's going on?
From what you were saying before, I guess you're saying Triple H and JBL may keep the title at WrestleMania?
They keep the title at WrestleMania?
Yeah. Like that Cena may lose to JBL and that may beat Batista?
I certainly don't expect Cena to lose to JBL, and if Triple H does not lose to Batista, I will be very shocked.
Okay, because
I would think far less of Triple H if he does not lose that match. And there's things that I don't necessarily feel positive about Triple H, but I give him credit for certain things that if he were to beat Batista, I would have a hard time giving him credit for any of those. So I expect 2 title changes.
Okay, because you were saying how Cena may switch, but he can't switch if he's champion. That's why I was asking that.
Well, the original plan was for Cena and Orton to both win their titles at WrestleMania. Okay, and for them to both switch brands, so Cena would go as world champion on Raw, and Orton would be a world champion on SmackDown. That was the original plan. Now, what they will do now, I don't know. I don't know if Batista will switch instead of Orton. I like the idea of Orton switching personally, and I got the impression from a few weeks ago. I think Orton's still switching, but I don't. Again, a lot of things have changed based on fan reaction and other things. Like Eddie Guerrero. It's like if they turn Eddie Guerrero, and they may, I'm going to be real disappointed in the writing staff on that one too.
Another question, because one problem with TNA is in New York is we don't get the regular shows because it's Fox Sports New York's pay as compared to Fox Sports Net everywhere else. So I don't really get to see TNA, or you're talking about Ohio Valley, and I don't really get to see those shows. Do you know of any way to try and get tapes of those shows or see those shows?
Okay, well, TNA, you should get the pay-per-view. The TV shows of TNA, to be honest, I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad or anything, but if I were to, when I watch the 1 hour Friday show, it's not like I feel like it's necessarily that great. I enjoy OVW as a TV show more than TNA. When you can go to ovwrestling.com, and there's actually ways where you can, buy, the tapes, and they'll be mailed to you regularly like we get them. But the TNA pay-per-view shows, at least the last 2, and this one's looking like that as well, they're really worth going out of your way to see. The pay-per-views. Yeah, the pay-per-views, which you can get. If you can get WWF pay-per-views, you can get the TNA pay-per-views.
Expensive, but they're not as high as WWE. That's the reason I haven't really gotten them.
Yeah, you should watch them though. You see a lot. The wrestling. The last 2 shows, the wrestling has blown away WWE. I mean, even Rumble, which was a good show, I thought the last 2 TNA shows blew Rumble away. And then you compare them to for New Year's resolution and Armageddon and those shows that, you know, I mean, you know what I mean? Same day. You'll really see some great wrestling on the show. I mean, I know if you don't see the TV, you're not getting the storylines to build up to the pay-per-view, but, you know, I could skip the storylines on TNA and still watch the pay-per-view because the wrestling is that good. No problem. You know, more than WWE, to be honest. Okay. All right, we'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Welcome back to our final segment here on Wrestling Observer Live. DDP and Monty Brown, Team Canada, and we're about 6 or 7 minutes into the AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels Iron Man match, which is going to go 30 minutes. We've got time for one last caller, Eddie in Los Angeles. Eddie, what's happening? Hello? Eddie. Let's go to Lewis in Port St. Lucie, Florida, then. Hello? Is nobody there?
Well, this is sad.
Bryan, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello?
Hello.
Who's this?
This is Lewis from Port St. Lucie.
Okay, Lewis, what's going on?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Doing really good.
The question I had for you was about the Dudleys. What's going on with the Dudleys? Are they done with WWE or?
They were taking a vacation, actually, and they had their first match back. They've been in OVW for a little over a week or two trying to get their timing back. They had their first match back on Wednesday night in OVW with Johnny Nitro and Joey Matthews, and I heard it was a great match. And so I would expect them back on WWE television within 2 weeks or so. They'll be back very soon.
Okay, and one more. The other thing I was wondering about is AJ Styles. Now his contract's running out soon with TNA.
9 months, in 8 months. I think 8 months from now. Yeah.
8 months.
Yeah, it's a way. They may also have an option on him. But yeah, you know, I mean, at that point, it becomes an interesting deal. You know, he's great. He's a great wrestler. You know, a lot of people will knock him because he doesn't wrestle the style that they like, but damn, he's really good.
Oh, I'd love to see RBD against AJ Styles go at it.
Actually, that'd be really good. I'd love to see. I know AJ Styles, you know, himself would love to work with like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Then again, who wouldn't, right? All right.
Fatal 4-way match.
Yeah, really. I know. Well, hopefully they'll do it right. Hopefully they won't try to change AJ Styles from what he is, though, but they will. That's something you got to realize. That the AJ Styles you see on TNA, if he goes to WWE, it ain't gonna be the same guy. You know, it's just the reality. You know, and look at Paul London. That guy's awesome, and where he's at. So, okay?
Thank you very much. You guys are on every Sundays, right?
Sunday from 8 to 10 Eastern, 5 7 Pacific. Okay, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for calling in. We will be back a couple weeks. We're going to have Jimmy Hart on, and don't forget, next Sunday, you're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.